friends, it's Lola in the sky. Have you ever thought about being a flight attendant? Is this the job for you? How much do you really know about the job of being a flight attendant? In this video, I'm going to talk about some aspects of the job that you may have never thought about or possibly didn't even know, and hopefully help you come to a better understanding of whether this job really is the job for you. Some of these things I didn't know before I started the job, and I really wish I had known them. And some of them I already knew, and it didn't really make a difference for me as to whether I thought this was the job for me or not. Most people think, oh, I love to travel, so I could be a flight attendant. But the desire to travel is not the only thing that you need. A flight attendant's number one job and main concern is the safety of all passengers on board the flight. We are medically trained, we know how to fight fires, we are able to evacuate that airplane in under 90 seconds. This is the biggest part of our job. It's not travel, it's not customer service, it is safety on board the aircraft. The second biggest aspect of our job is customer service. This one you probably deal with the most because there's definitely not an emergency on every aircraft. I've been flying for 2.5 years and I've only had about 10 emergencies, medical, I never evacuated an airplane. So customer service, you have to like working with people. I don't know how to stress this enough. We are the face of the company that we work for. You are transporting hundreds of people a day. When we deal with them getting sick, we deal with them being scared, we deal with them wanting to sit next to each other, we deal with them hating the passenger next to them, we deal with them hating us. We deal with all of it, okay? So you have to love customers, or at least love working in a customer service industry. The biggest reason most people become flight attendants or think they want to become flight attendants are for the travel benefits. They are amazing. You travel for free, your family travels for free, if you have kids, they travel for free. If you have a boyfriend or girlfriend, they can travel for free. It's really the icing on the cake when it comes to the biggest perk of being a flight attendant. You are paid to travel. Of course, you're paid to travel. On my layovers, the company pays for the hotels. We get paid a per diem, an hourly rate based on the amount of hours we are away from our home base. And so everywhere that I've seen in the last 3 years while I'm working has been on the company's dime, and that is a huge perk. Of course, everybody loves that. Who can complain about that? It's phenomenal. If you don't really like the mundane 9-to-5 office job, this is the job for you. Excuse me. There is no routine. People ask us all the time, oh, do you fly this route? I'm like, yeah, you can fly that route a couple times in a month, maybe, but that doesn't mean that's the only route you ever fly and that's exactly how it works and you're home every day at the same exact time. It's not like that for any flight attendant. You have to be very flexible. You have to want a life that is spontaneous and flexible. A huge thing people need to know is that if you do get hired, you have to do a 6-week, sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on the airline that you fly for. But it's normally around 6-week training in wherever their training base is in the country. So you don't like get trained at home. It's not like a flight attendant school you go to before you get hired. You get hired by the company and then the company sends you to their training. So I did 6 weeks training down south, and it was 6 days a week. It was super intense. While you're in training, you will be asked what base you want to be based out of. That doesn't mean that's the base you will get. I'm sure during your hire interview, they will ask you if you're willing to be based anywhere in the country, and your answer needs to be yes. If you say no, they probably will not hire you. You have to be willing to not move, because you don't have to necessarily move there. You have to be willing to go to one of those bases. My class got really lucky because we got our first choices across the board, but the class before me, they all got sent to San Fran, and then they put their transfers in to where they wanted to be based, and within a month or two, they were transferred to those bases. But the company sends you where they need people the most. One of the biggest things that I personally wish I had understood well before I took this job is the difference between being a reserve and being a line holder. Because I wasn't quite prepared once I came online for just how hectic and crazy the life of a reserve can be. Now, I'm not gonna go on a long, huge rant about being a reserve because that could probably take about 10 different vlog videos. I could do a whole series on what it means to be a reserve, but I will give you some basic things. So being a reserve means you are on call. What that means is you have to always have a bag packed. You can be sent anywhere in the world. You could be sent to Sweden, you could be sent to China, you could be sent to Peru, you could be sent to Dallas, you could be sent to Philly, you could be sent to LA. You never know how long your trip is going to be. They could call you for a 1-day trip, a 2-day trip, all the way up to a 6-day trip. You have to be prepared to not know how many days you're going to be gone for, not know exactly where you're going, not know what time they're going to call. This one really stinks. I'm not going to lie, because you can be called at 1 a.m. You can fall asleep at midnight and they can call you at 1 a.m. for a 15-hour duty day. That means you're working all day without any sleep, and the amount of times that this has happened to me, it's made me cry. I've cried. You can either be a reserve or you can be a line holder. A line holder is when you know your schedule for the month, and that life is way better than a reserve life. But the way they determine whether you are a reserve, flight attendant, or a line holder is by your seniority with the company and then how many flights are going out a day. Some people love the spontaneity of it. Some people really hate that they don't know their schedule. My first year as a reserve flight attendant, it was a lot of fun. I had a blast. I thought it was so cool to never know where I was going and what I was doing. Now that I'm coming up on my 3rd year, I'm really over it. I'm tired of being called in the middle of the night. I'm tired of not being able to make plans with my friends. I'm tired of not knowing when I can see my family or spend time with my boyfriend. So it really does depend on like the kind of person you are and how it affects you. Everyone is different. So I'm not saying reserve is gonna be the worst thing in the world for you. I'm just saying that I don't really love it anymore. That's all I'm saying. Summer and winter is really interesting when you are a reserve. The summer months are extremely busy for you, and then the winter months are really slow. I work a second job over the winter, and just to make ends meet, if I'm being very honest. Which brings me to my next point, money, pay. So flight attendants actually make really decent money. Most people don't know this, but at least the major airlines, they start you out at more than $25 an hour. I know flight attendants that make 6 figures a year, and once you're a line holder, you can pretty much build as many hours onto your month as you want. You can work as little or as much as you want. It really gives you a ton of flexibility. It can allow you to make a lot of money. As a reserve, you are paid a certain amount. It's kind of like salary, give or take. You are paid a certain amount of hours a month, whether you fly or do not fly. A lot of summers you fly more than those hours. Let's say they pay you 80 hours a month, whether you fly or not. Over the summer, you are flying more than 80 hours, so you're making more money. Over the winter, it's really slow, and you may only fly 2 times a month, really. You are still going to make the 80 hours pay. So therefore, I'm still getting paid to sit at home and be on call in case they do need me, but I'm not really working. That being said, it's not much, and it can get really rough over the winter months, and this is why I work a second job. And a lot of people don't know this. Actually, it's more well known, but we are only paid when the door to the aircraft is closed. So we are not paid during boarding. We are not paid during delays. We are not paid from check-in time. We are only paid when we are on the plane and the door is closed. I wish I had understood exactly how important seniority is. I never worked at a place where like seniority was that important, and a job like this, seniority is absolutely everything. Seniority determines whether you hold a line. It determines if you're getting on that plane when you are flying standby. It determines when you have vacation during the year. It determines so many different things. I would like to say that while you're trying to factor all of these different things into your decision as to whether or not you want to be a flight attendant, I don't regret my decision. It is a job, okay? So it's not like I go into work every single day, like gung-ho and happy and ecstatic about where I'm going or what I'm doing or what time they called me. There are days where I don't like this job, where I don't like the way the company is treating us, or I don't like the trip that I got, or I don't like the people that I'm dealing with during the day. Like I said before, it's not all glamour. It's a job, so you are gonna have highs and lows no matter where you go. With everything that I just said, I wouldn't give this job up for anything. I personally feel like it's worth it for the kind of life that I want and the kind of life I'm going to be able to have because of this job. I really hope that this video has made it a little bit clearer whether this is a job for you. If you have any questions, please comment in the section below, or you can private message me on Facebook or on Instagram. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. I hope to see you in the sky.